Hi, thank you for being willing to review conference program submissions for the International Center for Academic Integrity. Our annual conference has been going strong since March 1993, and it's grown to be the preeminent conference in academic integrity in North America. Each year, a conference committee coordinates the scheduling and facilitation of this event, and with help from volunteers such as yourself, we evaluate each conference submission against a rubric and strive to select the best submissions that represent a diversity of topics, presenters, and international perspectives, as well as submissions that demonstrate innovative practices or cutting-edge research in the field. In recent years, there's been about a 50% acceptance rate, and we nearly get about 75 submissions each year. The call for conference program submissions goes out in the fall. This year, the announcement was released on October 7th, with a deadline to submit a proposal on November the 11th. Reviewers will shortly thereafter receive a small number of submissions to review by email. Scoring of submissions must be completed using the designated web form by December the 15th. Then the conference committee will review the scores and make a decision about what proposals will be accepted. Notice of acceptance or rejection will be sent out by January 6th. The committee will then create the final program schedule and publicly release it by January 20th. As a reviewer, you play an important role. You are helping assess submissions and build our conference program with your decisions. We ask that you declare any conflicts of interest or recuse yourself if you receive a program proposal that you are unable to evaluate impartially. We also ask that you be objective and follow the scoring rubric that we have provided. And any proposal you review, as well as the scores, are to be kept confidential. Finally, all proposals you receive must be assessed by the requested deadline. Now let's look at the categories of evaluation in our rubric. They are relevance and broad appeal, learning outcomes, alignment with conference themes, novelty, innovation, and creativity, and organization and format. Each of the 5 categories will be given a score out of 15. The lowest number is a weaker score, and a higher number is a stronger score. Submissions with the highest scores will be accepted. There are 3 levels of applicability to guide your scoring. Low applicability, between 1 and 5, would apply to submissions that have not met the criteria or barely make the criteria. Average applicability, between 6 and 10, would apply to submissions that have generally met the criteria. High applicability, a score of 11 to 15, would apply to submissions that have definitely met or exceeded all the criteria. When considering relevance or broad appeal, think about how much interest this presentation is likely to attract. A low score would indicate that there would be limited interest in the topic. An average score would indicate that the topic would draw a decent audience with some appeal. And a high score would indicate that the topic would attract a large audience and appeal to a number of people. Learning outcomes are the important takeaways from a presentation. They explain what a participant should learn from attending the session. Each submission should include clearly articulated learning outcomes that are tied to the content. If the submission does not include learning outcomes or tied to the content, it would score in the low range. If a proposal has learning outcomes and they are loosely connected to the content, they would score in the average range. A high-scoring submission would clearly identify the learning outcomes and explain how they are connected to the content. The next thing to consider is alignment with conference themes. There are 4 theme areas for the ICAI conference. The first is technology. For example, that would mean references to e-proctoring experiences, text matching or authorship software, translation software, or learning management software. Another category would be current research. This is in regards to published work, ongoing research, manuscript presentations, sharing research findings, and discussing current research trends and theoretical frameworks. The third category is policy issues, And this could relate to how to create a robust academic integrity policy, renewing your academic integrity policy, and adjudication issues. The last theme area is around experiences of students, institutions, or practitioners. This could relate to academic integrity programming, student involvement, or faculty-led academic integrity initiatives, innovative ways that instructors have engaged students with academic integrity, and results that have been applied to policies or have improved campus collaborations. A submission that does not mention what conference theme it is aligned with or does not align with any of the above themes would receive a low score. A submission that explains some connection to one or more of the conference themes would receive an average score. A high-scoring submission would be strongly aligned to one or more of the conference themes. The next category is looking at novelty, innovation, and creativity. When considering a submission, consider whether the content is new or being presented in a creative way. A proposal that does not show any innovation or novelty would receive a low score. A submission that demonstrates some novel or creative features would receive an average score. A high-scoring submission would be unique or highly novel or innovative. The final category is all about the organization of the submission and its details, flow, and logic. Ask yourself, does the submission make sense to you? Can you tell exactly what the presentation is going to cover or look like? A submission that is vague on details and does not give you a clear understanding of what will be presented would receive a low score. A submission that provides some details but the format and organization isn't the clearest would receive an average score. A high-scoring submission would be clearly organized, and you should have a firm idea of what and how things will be presented. Now let's talk about scoring. After reviewing each submission with an eye to the 5 categories of evaluation that I just described, you will add your scores into the WUFU web form. Each submission will receive a total score of 75 points. For each submission, you will also make a final recommendation. The options are yes, invite, yes with revisions, no, do not invite. Submissions that have been recommended yes for invitation or revision and have the highest scores will be accepted into our program. Finally, let's talk about some parting tips before you launch into reviewing the submissions. I'd like you to think of what you, as a potential participant, would like to see, hear, and take away from the content. Also, please make lots of notes on your decision, as these are very helpful in decision making. If you are suggesting that a submission be revised, please be sure to note what revisions are necessary and note them in the text box. The web scoring form will also have a link to click Submit additional scores for other programs. This means that you don't need to close out of the form after each submission. Finally, we're always here to help you, so please reach out to us if you need help. Contact details are on this final slide. I'd also like to say thank you again for your time and efforts. We could not put on such a successful conference year after year without your help. Thank you.